Good morning, students. Welcome back to Gopalaswamy High School online classes. Today, I am going to discuss one more poem in 9th standard second language English, that is the Song of Freedom by Subramanya Bharati, originally, and translated by Prema Nandakumari. You should be knowing that Subramanya Bharati was a great Tamil poet who inspired the minds of the freedom fighters. He wrote in Tamil all patriotic songs, and his songs are very popular not only in Tamil Nadu but also in entire India. He was a great inspirer for freedom fighters, and many people chose their own way of fighting against the British. Gandhiji chose Satyagraha, Netaji Subhash Chandra Bose chose his own method, and the revolutionaries like Bhagat Singh, Azad Chandrasekhar Azad, Batukeshwara Dutt, Arvind Ghosh, they followed the revolutionary methods and non-violent methods. In this way, here some of the intellectuals and poets and writers like Subramanya Bharati and uh, the man who wrote Vande Mataram, they choose writing as the weapon. Okay? Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. And like this, we have so many writers and poets who inspired the freedom movement through their writings, through their poems, through their stories. So, here, when we got freedom, Subramanya Bharati writes during 47 the greatness of the freedom. That's why it is given, the title is Song of Freedom. Swatantrada Geete. See, here we enjoy the freedom. All these years we were ruled by British for more than 3 decades. But here, the joy of enjoying freedom is expressed in Subramanya Bharati's words. Subramanya Bharati's concept of freedom. So this is what uh, this is what is about the poet and an introduction to this poem, Song of Freedom. So Subramanya Bharati's poems are translated to many languages, translated into many languages, including English. Here is the English translation of, okay. Some years back, the Akashvani, that is the All India Radio, used to broadcast Subramanya Bharati's songs. Occasionally, they play it again if you have the time. If you can ask Akashvani, they will play for you also. Okay, or you can get the recording from AR station of Mysore. This is one information which I have given. Okay, very popular song was Odi Vilayattu Papa. Okay, that is how I still remember when I was a student of high school. Sorry, I was a student of college. I used to listen to this song because it used to come on every Sunday, right? They used to broadcast this song and songs of all the languages. Now let us come back to our poem, that is Song of Freedom by Subramanya Bharati. The first stanza I'll read. If you have the textbook in front of you, please come to page number 134 and 135. 135, 130, 34 and 35. The poem Song of Freedom. This is the hour of song and dance, for blissful freedom is ours at last. Maybe the poet has written this song as soon as we got the freedom in 1947. This is the hour of song and dance. We have to rejoice the freedom. The essence of freedom is enjoyed through dance and happiness. Okay? For blissful freedom, okay? We have the happiest moment in our life, that is getting the freedom. Is ours at last. At last we have got the freedom, and we have come out of the enslavement, we have come out of the slavery, and we have our nation at our hand. The Britishers have gone, and the entire India belongs to Indians. This is the meaning expressed in stanza 1. Gone are those days of caste-born pride. Gone is the foreigner's might. Gone is passive subservience. Gone is the strictest sway. What a wonderful meaning is given. Those days have gone. No more caste born pride. You cannot take pride in being an upper caste, or you cannot take pride in your own caste. You cannot treat other people as inferior. So totally what the poet means is, every caste in this country is equal. That is the ultimate meaning carried in this line. Those days have gone. Once upon a time, some caste used to have the higher position in the society, but now it is the nation, the free nation. There is another meaning also there. You see, the Britishers used to discriminate people on the basis of caste. So that caste discrimination was very much encouraged by British people. And now that we have the nation at our own hand, we have our own people in the government. It is the government, our own people. Now that it has come, there is no difference. There is no caste-based discrimination. Gone is the foreigner's might. Might is the power. The Britishers with their iron hand used to rule India. Now that also has gone, because we got the freedom. The nation has come to our hand. Gone is the passive subservience. In British period, we used to salute them as slaves. So that also subservience. See the meaning? A state in which you do whatever someone else wants you to do. We were instructed by British. We had to do whatever that was told by the British. Those days have gone now. We are no more slaves to British. We will take action on our own judgment. We decide everything in India. The Indians will decide. That is the meaning. So, no more subservience. Gone is the trickster's sway. Trickster is the person who cheats. Okay? It refers to British only, who were the exploiters of India. They with their actions, sway means action. They used to fool Indians. They used to make laws where the Indians would suffer. Many times people would not understand. Indians were so poor in understanding the exploitation. Indians were very poor in understanding the crookedness of the British. So all these things were extremely done in various forms in India, and these things cannot continue now. So gone is the trickster's sway. Those tricksters means those cheaters, those people who fooled us, they are Britishers. So their activities or their way of doing no more in existence. They have got, all those things have gone. That means all the bad things done by British has gone now. Okay? Now, Next stanza. Freedom is our universal speech. Equality, the experienced grace. We will blow the conch of victory and publish the truth to all. The greatness of freedom is expressed once again in another form here. Freedom is our universal speech. Speech means Vak Swatantra. So when we get freedom only, we can speak whatever we want. That was not possible during the British period. If you were to speak anything against the government, if you were to speak anything bad against the government, you would be punished. You would be behind bars. You know, that is the reason why many people have died for the freedom of this country. How many people, thousands and thousands, sacrificed their life, and as a result, we have got the freedom. So, equality, the experienced grace. Now that we have got the freedom, we are experiencing the grace of the freedom. Okay. When people understand what is freedom, they will enjoy it. They will undergo a kind of change. Grace. We will blow the conch of victory. Conch means Shanka. Udadu. Conch of victory. We will blow that India has got freedom and we will enjoy the freedom. Right? We do this whenever there is a victory. Even in olden days also, in the ancient wars and all that battles, people would blow the conch. Okay? Of course, when something good is happening, there also we blow the conch. Especially in India, in temples and in pujas, they blow the conch. Shankavana uttar. Yakendra ಒಳ್ಳೆದಾಗಲಿ. It is a symbol of goodness. It is a symbol of victory. Right? Okay, now. So, and publish the truth to all. By blowing this, what is this blowing actually? We are going to tell the people that how British exploited us and we have to enjoy our freedom without the interference of the British. We have to treat the British as enemies. We have to treat them as outsiders. The truth we have to speak, that is whatever that we have got now, we have to enjoy. Okay? So what is the truth that you are going to speak to people now? Indians should be enlightened. Indians should be awakened. They should not be still in the same position that they were there during the period of British. Right? So now, the next stanza, we see that all are equal born. Here, the poet is trying to establish the concept of equality means it is the constitution. Constitutional importance is also discussed. What a wonderful forethought the poet had. We see that all are equal born. At that time, I don't know whether the constitution was written or not, but the poet is trying to establish that concept of equality. Equal born, all are equally born in this country. No one is great, no one is inferior. No discrimination among the people on the basis of caste, creed, religion, or anything. That is what the poet is trying to tell us. We see that all are equal. Now that we have got the freedom, we are going to treat everybody as equal and everybody is an Indian. Everybody is important, nobody is unimportant. Okay? Now, lie and disease are dead. Lie. Deceit. Mosa madadu. All these things were done by British. That is why the poet stresses all these lie and deceit will never happen again. Because the country is ours. Only the good men are great. Ruin has seized the wicked. Now, only good men are going to survive in this country, and those wicked people, those people who cheated Indians, ruin has seized the wicked. We have sent them, we have kicked them out of the country. We have taught the British a very good lesson. by fighting against their misrule. So we have sent them out, those people. Okay? Ruin has ceased. No more damage to India. Okay? Now, wicked people have gone. Only good people are surviving. Good people refers to the freedom fighters who have sacrificed, who sacrifice their entire life. They sacrifice their family. They sacrifice their wealth. Many people, if you study freedom movement in detail, you will come to know how many people left their professions, how many people left their homes, how many people died for the sake of the country, how many people went against the bullets. They faced the British bullets, guns, without any fear. Bravely they sacrificed their life to the greatness of this country, to get the freedom. So the result of those people's sacrifice only, we have been able to enjoy the freedom. Now we are, if at all we are enjoying the freedom, it is because of those good people, because we have sent the ruined people, that is the British, the crooked people, the wicked people out of the country. Now we have our own people who are really good. This is the meaning. Honor to the plowman and the worker. Next stanza. Shame to the glutton and the rake. We will not water the wastelands nor sweat for the idler's wheel. Now that we have got the freedom, you should be knowing that India is a land of villages and the sons of the soil are farmers. They should be respected. You know what are they called in Kannada? Annadata, right? Those people who give us food are farmers. So, honor to the plowman and the worker. Respect the workers. Workers means people who work in factories. Workers means people who work for the nation. Soldiers, factory workers, different types of workers who build the nation. Construction engineers, teachers, doctors, everybody is a worker. So we have to respect those people, and particularly the plowman. Plowman is a farmer. Okay? That means all these days, these people were not respected. The workers were exploited. The rule of the British exploited everybody, particularly the plowman. The British introduced so many horrible laws in agriculture, and the plowman suffered every now and then. All the rules and regulation introduced by British ultimately made our farmer very poor. And the farmers had to suffer permanently. Okay? The type of legislation they brought in agriculture, they did a lot of experiments in agriculture and made the farmer to die in debt permanently. So this is what the Britishers have done to Indian farmer and the workers. Workers were not paid proper salary. Their wages were very, very below. The treatment given to our soldier was horrible. Soldiers were treated very badly. Only European soldiers and the British soldiers got all the benefit in the Indian military. So everywhere, Indians were exploited, and that is honor to plowman and worker. Now the time has come to honor. The time has come to recognize these people who did so much of work for the nation, who are the real helpers. Shame to glutton and rake. Glutton means people who eat always. Watebaka. Okay? And rake means people who earn money by immoral ways. And these two are evils to nation. People who don't work but simply eat. And people earn in an unethical, immoral ways. These people, for them, the poet expresses, shame for you people. Shame for you people. You will not be entertained anymore. So we will not treat you anymore. We will not serve you anymore. If at all you have to do anything, Do the work and earn. Idle mouths we cannot feed. Right? So we will not water the wastelands. Beautiful figurative way of expression. Wasteland, if you feed the wasteland with water, it will not grow. In the same way, if you entertain wrong people in the country, they are good for nothing. They are not constructive. They are going to become idle mouths. They are neither going to build anything nor do anything good for the nation. So wasteland should not be watered. That means wrong hand should not be entertained. Wrong people should not be encouraged. Unethical people and people who don't work anywhere and people who don't work, such people should not be entertained. We will not water the wastelands, nor sweat for the idols we will not work for the people who exploit us. You know, this is here there is an element of historical background is there. You know, in India, students, during 47, that is in 1947, 80% of the Indian agricultural land was owned by 20% of the landlords. So here in a way, the landlords also exploited our farmers. The landlords took away all the lands of the farmers and finally made them very, very poor. They became slaves in their own lands. Right? So we are not going to work for those people, those landlords, and our sweat is not going to be given to them. We will not entertain them anymore. We will work for our own people. We will work for our own lands. This is the meaning. Okay? Okay. And idlers will means it, in a way it also refers to English also. English people also exploited us. So it can also be a reference to English people. And now you should be knowing that the English people, the Britishers and the landlords joined together and they totally exploited our farmers. If you go through the history of land legislation in India, you will come to know how badly the legislations were made. All the legislation, rules and regulations were against the interests of the farmers. Right? So, we have last stanza. We have learned that this is our land. It will be forever ours. No nation shall enslave us again. We will prosper serving God, our sole God. The poet concludes the Song of Freedom, this poem, with a wonderful note, with a meaningful ending. With an optimistic ending, he gives the meaning of the last 4 lines. We have learned that this is our own land. Ultimately, we have got the freedom and we have understood that this is our land and this is where we have to work and do all the things. It will be forever. Yes, it is going to be with us forever. No nation shall enslave us again. At any cost, our nation, India, is not going to be taken by any foreign hands. Indians have understood the misrule of the foreign hand. They have understood that they did a blunder in allowing the British. They did a blunder in allowing the British to rule India for more than 300 years. They came here as traders and the trade was followed by flag. And they established the British Empire and they could rule India with their iron hands because of our own fallacies, our own weaknesses. What was the greatest weakness of the Indians? Of the India? What was the greatest weakness of Indian? The Indian weakness was disunity. We were fighting in the names of religion. We were caste ridden. We were fighting in the names of caste. We were fighting in the name of language. So many disparities, so many problems embedded Indian society. We were not, we never understood the greatness of the entire Indian Union. And the British, nicely exploited these weaknesses of the Indians, and they were able to rule India only because of this greatest weakness that they understood while staying in India. So no nation can enslave us. No nation can take us. ಮತ್ತೆ ಗುಲಾಮಗಿರಿಗೆ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾಧ್ಯ ಇಲ್ಲ. Okay, we will prosper definitely. You can see the line of optimism in the last line. The poet expresses India is going to prosper. All of us will prosper. We will prosper serving God, our soul God. Who is our God? It is not Rama, Vishnu, Ishvara, or Maheshwara, or Ganapati. It is not any other God. It is the motherland is the God. Mother India is our God. So we have to treat India as God, and we are going to prosper only when we serve the nation. That is the ultimate message given in the last line, and it is the ultimate God, soul God. You see, soul means exclusive only. Okay, exclusive God is our motherland. So whatever you do it for motherland. Whatever you do it within the motherland. Nothing against motherland. Okay, this is the uh, meaning of the poem, the Song of Freedom, so meaningfully explained by the great Tamil poet Subramanya Bharati. Thank you very much, children. We'll see you again in the next classes.